These are 4 bad reasons to start a trading card business. Number 1, you think it's easy money or you're looking for passive income. A lot of folks, actually myself included, back in the day, see all this cardboard stuff as like easy money. The reality that you discover after you do this for a month is that it's not that easy. Sourcing cards is difficult. Shipping cards comes with a certain amount of risk. Even just the grind that you have to go through to hit level 4 on TCG Player or to build trust on eBay means that you may be selling some of your favorite cards or your high-priced cards at a lower price than you necessarily want to, just so that you can build a reputation. And then by the time that you have gotten 100 sales or made $1,000 or $2,000, you might hate it. You certainly will get scammed by at least one person, and you will make mistakes with shipping and stuff like that, and there's a good chance you'll find yourself wondering, why did I even try? Why did I even start this? This is a nightmare. So unfortunately, this cardboard, it looks easy. It looks like it's like anyone can do it, like it's easy tendies. We see big YouTubers ripping packs for videos, and you assume that they're making a bunch of money. We see people listing lots and lots of sealed product on Facebook Marketplace or wherever at high prices, and we assume that they're making a bunch of easy money. And in some cases that may be true if you have built up the connections and you have the ability to acquire that stuff, but most folks don't have that going for them. And the amount of effort that goes into getting all that set up takes what you thought was going to be easy money and turns it into painful, difficult, and risky money, and takes passive income and turns it into, at the very least, an active side hustle, if not a significant distraction from other areas that you could focus on that you like more. That said, cardboard is not a bad side hustle. It's not a bad idea in and of itself. But if you are looking for easy money, I'd say cardboard isn't it, just because of the risk factor and the amount of time required to do it well, and the low margins. It's just, there's better ways to make passive income, including just like buying dividend stocks and sitting on them. Then you're not wasting any time. You're just literally harvesting passive income. Number 2, I would say, is that, and this is, so all of these are kind of things that got me into cards in the first place. So that's why I know that they're not necessarily the greatest motivations. And the reason they're bad motivations is because they're unlikely to fuel you to run the business in the long run. And you're not likely to end up sticking with the business if these are your particular motivations, because this business is not always easy. It's not always fun. So number 2 is you're getting out of the hobby and you have a large personal collection. Now, I'm not saying that you should not sell off a collection if you have one and you're getting out of the hobby, or you want to get some fast cash or something like that. What I am saying is that if you just need some quick cash and you're just getting out of the hobby and you want to wash your hands of it, the last thing you want to do is go build a profile on one of these marketplace platforms, have to work towards building a reputation, start acquiring all your shipping supplies and all that, and then end up having to do the whole thing just to sling a couple of your singles. You are much better off listing some of your more valuable stuff, putting it into a collector listing, putting it up on Facebook Marketplace. If you have time and patience and you want to wait a little while, you can just sell them one by one. Wait for people to buy them at or close to market, especially the higher demand cards. And then you can build a couple of collector lots that you sling and say, I'll take 85% on these, take them out to the community, sell them to the community, and after you do that for a couple weeks or a month or two or whatever, then take what's left, take it to a card shop or whatever, or sell it to me, sell it to TJ, sell it to Brian, and make your money that way. Because going through all of the work entailed in actually like starting a business and building a brand to sling those singles when you are getting out of the hobby, if you're already getting out of the hobby, then turning the hobby into a job is probably not the best strategy for you. So number 3, I would say, is if you want to replace your job like as soon as possible, like you just hate what you're doing for a living day by day and you want to move on and do something else, and you need a fast escape, this ain't it. The margins on this are so low, the risk level is not great. This is not, in the long run, can it become a full-time thing? Certainly. People do manage to do it, but you got to become a real entrepreneur to make this cardboard thing work and replace any kind of like W-2, 9-to-5, or even just another business as income. I am a long way away from being able to do any of this stuff full time. So I have to spend most of my time doing my other business as my day job, and then this is my profitable side hustle that keeps me out of trouble after hours. So that's a very different thing compared to trying to rapidly escape a job that you hate. If you're trying to get out of a job you hate, best bet is to just go get a different job, or take the skills that you have acquired in that job and become a freelancer. But what I would say is not a great idea is slinging cardboard. Unless you are sitting on like $100,000 of capital, you can acquire some inventory and you're going to give it a shot. Even then, I would say, nah, probably don't try to dive in and go full time on this right away. And number 4, the final bad reason to start a TCG business is that seems like everyone's doing it. If you look around, and this was one of the things that got me into it at first. I looked around and I thought, oh man, PokeRev, Deep Pocket Monster, Unlisted Leaf, all these people they must be making money. They must be doing something, something that keeps them doing this. And so I was like, oh, maybe I can rip packs and get monetized or something like that. Like, no, it did not work out for me. And that season of this business was not profitable. It was not a great investment of my time. I did learn a lot, and the lessons carried into this, but that idea that I had, there was no way that was going to work. And so it's like, FOMO is just, it's never good. It's never something that you want to allow to guide your decisions, because the grass always looks greener on the other side. It looks easier, as the viewer, it looks easy to be a TCG YouTuber. As the customer, it looks easy to run the cardboard business, but it most certainly is not. The more that I watch the news, kind of follow current events, stuff like that, I'm seeing people are getting robbed. There's all the tax implications that come in, and all the compliance stuff that you have to deal with, and just the risk entailed in cardboard, and the risk of fakes, and just all the stuff that's happening. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you're probably actually lucky to be missing out on, because it is not a paradise. Slinging cardboard, especially like slinging a lot of cardboard, there's a lot to dislike. That said, however, there's a lot to like. There is a lot to like about slinging cardboard. So don't, while these are not necessarily the greatest motivations, if you have one of these motivations or multiple of these motivations, and that's what's driving you to go in or to try to grow your cardboard dreams, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should not move forward. What it means is that, if you can remove these from your list, and then you still have other things that make you want to do the cardboard thing, then yeah, you should proceed. So I guess I'm actually going to add to this. I hadn't thought about this when I was initially scoping out the video concept, but I guess I'll add a couple good reasons to start a cardboard business. So I guess I got to think of these here. Number one, I would say, is definitely you want a long-term, scalable, cash-flowing asset. So I'm just going to write long-term here. So you want to build a long-term, scalable, cash-flowing asset. This is my primary motivation here. I do absolutely want cardboard to become my thing, to become like my main business. But I don't want it to rapidly replace what I do for a living. I want it to build over many years and then become an essential pillar of my income inside of the holding company that I'm building to contain my entrepreneurial ventures. Cardboard has had, despite market fluctuations and all that stuff, it's had pretty solid demand and growing demand for decades. People like cardboard. People leave and come back. So while there's not always going to be fast cash and quick tendies, there will always be a way to generate revenue, to generate cash flow, and operate a profitable business in the cardboard and collectibles space if you put the work in and acquire the knowledge necessary to build a real business with a stable foundation and scalable systems. I know for a fact that cardboard is scalable. And so, when I'm looking ahead, 5-10 years into my future, I want to have employees who I can pay fairly to do, a certain type of skilled labor. And then there's other aspects to the business, like the YouTube side, the business education side, the community side. There's just a lot of stuff that is adjacent to the cardboard industry that I'm also passionate about, that ties in to the long-term cash flowing asset that the business would become. And so I'd say that's a good reason to start a TCG business, is that you look at it as a long-term goal where you want to build a multifaceted, scalable cash flowing asset in an area where you have a lot of passion. Reason number two that I would say is a good reason to build a cardboard business, collectibles, whatever thing that you are doing related to it, is that you want to grow. It's for your personal and professional development. I think this is a great reason to start a TCG business, because despite the fact that, yes, there are risks, yes, it's labor intensive, yes, in some ways the juice may not be worth the squeeze, the TCG world, the cardboard world, collectible world, is a really, really great place for many people to learn the fundamentals of entrepreneurship, to learn how to identify value in the world, in a thing or a skill or a narrow, specific type of knowledge, to recognize the value that's in there, learn how to package it and bring it to a market, and then set a price and facilitate an exchange of value, and then to come away from that endeavor with profit. That is incredibly valuable knowledge that will absolutely change your life. And if you're watching this video, there's a chance that there are not a whole lot of other things that right now strike you as areas of as much passion that you would be interested in going through the strivings involved in early entrepreneurship. Because you're going to encounter challenges, you're going to make mistakes and have to deal with failures. And when that stuff happens in relationship to a thing that you have passion for and that you enjoy, then those costs are easier to bear by comparison, because you're just trying to chase easy money in a thing that you don't have passion for. Sure, you'll learn a lot of the same lessons, but you're going to resent it a whole lot more. You're not going to have fun along the way. And while I disagree with the phrase that life is short, I think life is long enough to do the things that you want to do, to have a good time. Life does still have a time constraint, and you can waste it. And so I think it's much better to spend your time doing things that you're interested in and that you love, as opposed to spending your time just looking for easy ways to make money. That's dumb. If you just don't build your life around the easiest thing for you to do, or easy money or anything like that. Build your life around the types of stuff that you are highly passionate about, the skills that you would like to acquire, the person that you would like to become. TCG, the TCG world and a cardboard business absolutely can be an avenue of personal and professional growth that can transform you into the type of person that you want to become. And for that reason, it can be a great idea for you to pursue if it's something that you're passionate about. The third reason that you should start a TCG business is for the community, because the community can be pretty sweet. Yeah, there's a lot of losers in the cardboard world. There's a lot of people that you don't necessarily want to surround yourself with. But there's also a lot of people who can teach you a lot of good things about life and business. There's a lot of just cool things to discover. As a result of getting into cardboard, I've found myself developing a passion for art and getting into collecting specific artists and exploring their work across different TCGs and stuff like Shinji Kanda, who now is doing work in Ultraman and in Gundam, and I absolutely love his work. Getting into cards as an artistic artifact, a coalescence of creative expression. Cards can be a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And if I hadn't, pursued the business side of it, I wouldn't have, exposed myself to Union Arena, Gundam, Sorcery. Oh, Sorcery is absolutely beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful card game. And, beautiful collectible assets, And I've got a lot of memories attached to these cards. You probably can't see them, but, this was my first major pull from Destined Rivals when I got back into card collecting. Had no idea that, things had changed so much, and I pulled this ultra rare Mewtwo. It's not going to mean a lot to some people, but it means a lot to me. There's a lot of just those little things, those little experiences and the community that you end up building and the memories that you build. Amazing. You can do that with anything, just about. You can do it with sports, you can do it with the gym, you can do it with all sorts of stuff. But I have chosen cardboard, and cardboard has a great community. It's got a lot of depth. There's a lot of things to enjoy about it, and it ties in with a lot of other stuff. Because of getting into cardboard, I ended up getting into books, because they're often sold in the same places. I started getting into manga, and I discovered Rurouni Kenshin, which is amazing. I'm 2/3 of the way through the set now. I started reading the manga of my favorite anime instead of just enjoying the anime, and I found out that I like manga even more than anime. Collecting Japanese manga. There's a lot to enjoy and to expand into in the collectible space, with cardboard as your launching point. And there's business opportunities in all of it. There's content opportunities. For me, I want to expand my endeavors past cardboard and into manga and books in multiple languages. The combination of the Pokemon Pocket and seeing all the foreign language cards, and then starting to discover foreign language cards out in the real world. I've always been interested in foreign languages. I've got books in ancient Greek on my shelf here. I've got some side-by-side books with Japanese text and English text of classic haiku from Busan and Basho and Miyamoto Musashi and stuff like that. So it just all kind of ties in and connects with the things that I'm passionate about, and it ends up allowing me to rub shoulders and just introduce myself and interact with people for whom I have a ton of respect. Getting to enjoy the content created by other people in the space, joining communities, making friends, and being able to surround myself with people who share passions like mine for these collectibles and the aspects of them and aesthetics, and also business and philosophy and life. It's a pretty unique space where I have a lot of fun as a human. So I think we'll cap it there, because if I don't stop recording, I'm never going to get these orders packed. That was 4 bad reasons to start a TCG business and 3 great reasons to start a TCG business. What would you add to the list? And what motivates you in your little cardboard side hustle or full-time cardboard thing that you have built? Let me know. And if you want to buy some trading cards from me, I would highly recommend visiting www.getdkc.com.